Grand afternoon to all you beautiful souls of light. And I am Cindy Lorraine Grace with CLG Viewpoint. Welcome. I am so honored and blessed. It is day 3 of 7, January the 15th, 2025. Yes, 2025. And it's going to be an exciting year. I know it. Full of a lot of surprises, growth, healings, and transformation. Each week, it'll be my perspectives will be on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And we'll be covering different things like either family, health, new technology, culture, arts, music, community, local news, international news, and so forth. Each segment, I start with a sage clearing. So I take a sage stick, which is a herb, clears out all the negative energies and leaving positive ones. To all low energy entities, you are healed, forgiven, enlightened, and set back to your perfect place and escorted by my spiritual guides. And so it is. And now all the negative energies are gone, and we have love, joy, and happiness, and a great start. Now, I've done a small video on how to use a dehydrator. This is a demonstration of a dehydrator. Open up this. You cut the plant that you want to dehydrate. Remove this up here for now. Slide one of these trays out, and it's got covers. You would fill that up. Then you would put this up here, like that. Cover it. Takes between 7 to 8 hours to dehydrate it. Then I would move over here and put the temperature on around 105. And then I would put the timer on, switch it on to 8. And once that's done, this is what you would have once it's finished and dehydrated. That is one of my favorite things I like to do in the summertime, is when I gather my herbs and dehydrate it. You make so many neat things, like delicious things, like buns and herb buns and pizzas and spaghettis or whatever else you like to use with the herbs. I also like to dehydrate fruits and vegetables as well. So it gets a lot of use, my dehydrator. Now, on to what will cost British Columbians more in 2025 by Simon Little, Global News. Updated from December to January the 2nd, 2025. It is no secret that the growing cost of living has left many British Columbians and Canadians feeling the pinch in 2024. And with the new year approaching, 2025, which we're in now, appears on track to deliver another round of pocketbook pressure. Prices on fuel, housing, food, and transportation are all expected to rise again. They may, however, be a few silver linings that could help you to hang on to a little more of your money this year. 2025 Canada Food Price Report is forecasting Canadians will pay between 3% and 5% more for food in 2025. Assuming the highest estimate of 5%, that would leave a family of 4 paying over $16,833 for food next year, up $801.45. It cites, quote, climate events, labor disputes, new policies, the U.S. elections, and exchange and interest rates, close quote, for the increases. The report estimates the highest increase of 4% to 6% is on meat. increases of 3% to 5% on vegetables and restaurant meals. The lowest increase 1 to 3% on seafood and on vegetables. Housing. Renters in BC will pay more in 2025 as the province's maximum allowable rent increase is set to rise to 3%. The BC Real Estate Association estimates the average selling price of a home province-wide will climb by 3.3%. Property taxes are slated to rise by varying numbers across BC municipalities, with a Vancouver rate paid at 3.9%. Energy. While it's impossible to predict what oil markets will do to the cost of fuel in 2025, particularly amid global instability, there's one area where British Columbians can expect to see an increase: the carbon tax. Under the next scheduled increase in the tax set for April 1st, the tax on gasoline will increase from 14.51 cents per liter to 20.91 cents per liter. Under the next scheduled increase in the tax, April 1st, the cost of heavy fuel, 25.5 cents per liter to 30.28 cents per liter. And cost of propane will climb from 12.38 cents per liter to 14.7 cents per liter. To the average amount of bill, $14, 25 cents to the average bill. BC Hydro says it is still finalizing its rate application for 2025. Transportation. Transit riders will be looking at fare hikes, varying depending on where they live. Some BC Transit riders will see the highest hikes as of April 1st from $2.50 to $3 per fare. Day passes from $5 to $6. TransLink ferry fares will climb from 3.2% on April 1st. Ferry rates have capped at 3.2% through to 2028. But however, the company's CEO has warned those fares could jump up by 30% in 2028. Today in BC, writer Wolf Deppner on January 13, 2025, 31% of British Columbians say they are unable to pay their bills. Almost 1/3 of surveyed British Columbians say they are insolvent. As Christmas holiday bills arrive, nearly half of surveyed British Columbians are, quote, teetering on the edge of financial insolvency, close quote. 31% saying they're already unable to pay their bills. These figures appear in the latest MNP consumer debt increase. This increase wipes out the 9% from the last report on bills increasing. The number of British Columbians concerned about their ability to repay their debts, even with the interest rates declining, dropped by 6% to 42%. Fewer British Columbians, 34%, down 7%, say they concerned that rising interest rates could move them towards bankruptcy. But 3 in 5, that's 59%, still say they're desperately need interest rates to go down. My personal thoughts: this situation is absolutely horrendous for the people of our country. Just in BC alone, which is more than likely comparable across Canada, that food, housing, house rentals, property taxes, gas, propane, electricity, carbon tax, transit bus services, and BC ferries are all increasing their costs. And there may be many more increases. So many more Canadians will not be able to pay their bills when there is so much of an increase of our daily living costs. When in fact, Sputnik News reported that on January the 11th, 2025, that Canada is endowed with $33 trillion in resources from oil, gas, and uranium to phosphates, cadmium, lead, titanium, zinc, etc. Because the enormous amounts of resources that Canada is so rich in, do we need to pay taxes? Well, having no personal taxes and property taxes lower food costs, lower housing costs, lower energy costs, and lower transportation costs, alleviate the financial burden that more than 1/3 of British Columbians are experiencing. Where is all the natural resource monies to help our people? Where did it all go? International news. How a storm of lawsuits paralyzed windmills in northwest Spain, Madrid. Sputnik News. Jose Maria Cofresas is the owner of a guest house in northwestern Galicia, one of Spain's most picturesque regions and a major tourist draw. It is one of the windiest parts of the country, and that has made it a magnet for developers of giant wind turbines that can stand higher than 50-story tower blocks. Cofresas is among those at the vanguard of opposition in Galicia, echoing the tactics of rural communities across Europe. The protesters have used the courts to block plans they say encroach on the way of their life and environment. Quote, part of what we sell here is a landscape, close quote. Quote, wind farms mean having the mountains drilled, filled with holes, and lots of concrete. The wind farm that would loom over his property would comprise of 12 558 feet tall turbines if the developer's hopes materialize. It is one of 72 with all overall capacity of around 2 gigawatts, based on more than 2 billion euros, which is 2.04 billion US dollars in investments that were approved by the regional government. They were then halted by the highest regional court, mostly in the last year, after locals' environmental groups filed hundreds of lawsuits. European governments are under pressure to support the European Union's ambitious green energy targets, including a significant expansion of wind energy capacity. In Europe, Spain is behind only Germany for wind power generation capacity. But its plans to double the amount by the end of the decade have been slowed by the local opposition as well as licensing bottlenecks. In Galicia, there's a complete paralysis, Juan Virgilio Marquez, General Director of Spanish Wind Group, AEE, said. The region did not install a single megawatt of new wind capacity in 2022 and 2023, and just 69 megawatt between 2020 and 2023. 3/4 of Galicians want more wind energy, according to a September poll. On the other side of the argument, protesters across Europe have coalesced into organized movements like those in Galicia, where they have launched sophisticated legal challenges, often financed by crowdfunding campaigns. Analysis and industry insiders said that leads to, quote, to higher chances for these projects to be stopped, close quote. On the Italian island of Sardinia, local opposition to wind led the authorities to pass a law in September that renewable developers say rendered more than 90% of the island's territory off limits to the projects. Back to Galicia, 243 lawsuits have targeted 90 of the 137 planned projects with permits, including the 72 stalled so far. In 72 cases, Galicia's highest court ordered precautionary suspensions on procedural or environmental grounds. The regional government has appealed to Spain's Supreme Court. Until a ruling whose timing is uncertain, developers will be wary of moving forward, even with the projects that are suspended. We had no choice but to go to court, adding that their earlier attempts to make representations in the administrative process were overlooked. Renewable developers with billions of euros investments at stake are under pressure, as intensive energy users such as U.S. aluminum giant Alcoa seek high volumes of clean energy via long-term supply contracts to ensure competitive and stable prices. Some of the wind parks in legal limbo should have started operating last year, supplying energy to Alcoa complex in the region that employs nearly 1,000 people. A Deloitte report for the local wind lobbying published in October 23 found that 32 industrial projects planned for Galicia would require over 6 billion euros worth of investments and create more than 7,000 direct jobs a year, largely rely on cheap renewable energy supply. From this year, she said developers will be able to request a new, faster approval procedure for parks hit by lawsuits. The regional parliament also approved in December rules that estimate could lead to the replacement of 3,000 aging wind turbines, with as few as 400 modern ones, reducing the impact on the landscape, although it has also exasperated the industry. Rural Spanish villages to be destroyed with wind turbines in push for green energy. Joaquin Gargalo says the landscape and his livelihood will be ruined after the government approved the macro project. The Telegraph, written by James Baddock. Quote, wind turbine terror, Spanish home hit by flying blade. Just one of 3,800 blade, quote, fails, close quote, every year. Written by Wind Power Monthly, January 31st, 2022. Personal thoughts. Do you think that windmills hide the real scenic beauty of the land, mountains, and oceans? Do you feel safe around those heavy, tall windmills, especially when it gets really windy? Have you ever heard of free energy? Closing. I am Cindy Lorraine Grace of CLG Viewpoint, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here today. If you feel so compelled to, please share this forum. I have a CLG Vision Point Chat Telegram page, and it's a forum where you can send me ideas, small videos, if you have any questions, or just to share and talk. I'm here for you. Getting to know you, for me, is an honor and a privilege. Have a truly wonderful evening, and see you on Friday, day 5 of 7, January the 17th, 2025. Good day until next time. Today's inspirational soul of light is White Buffalo Calf Woman. And enjoy.